All right, so the Super Bowl is now officially over, and I have to admit when I'm wrong, okay? There's a lot of people who make bets, they make bold predictions, and then they want to deny it and act like they never did it. Yes, people, I predicted that the 49ers would win the Super Bowl. You can go back and watch my prediction video. Um, I'm being completely honest. So, the 49ers, well, no, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl 31-20, um, going 21 unanswered points in the fourth quarter to win the game. Now, I'll say this. I had people texting me, people talking to me in person, well, you predicted wrong, haha, because when you do this, you talk about sports, you make these predictions like I was talking about. If you're wrong, you get murdered about it, right? And so I said, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not perfect. I predicted the wrong winner, but here's the thing: this game went exactly like I said it was going to go. Go back and watch the predictions video. I literally got about 90% of that game right as far as how it would go. Excuse me. I said that the defense was going to get to Patrick Mahomes early, get him frustrated. He wouldn't have his best game because he wouldn't have time. He can do it all, but it's hard to do it all when you got 50 billion guys in your face. Now, it wasn't consistently like that all game, okay? Now, he was able to make a lot of spectacular moves and completions late in the game, but it wasn't there all game. He wasn't lighting it up 24/7 like he normally does, okay? Now, the Niners, the one thing I said with the San Francisco 49ers that they needed to do to guarantee a win was do what the Denver Broncos did back in, I don't even know the year, but back in Super Bowl 50 when they had Peyton Manning. Rely on the defense, use the run game, put your quarterback in simple, easy situations. Don't turn over the ball. Don't force your quarterback to have to be the guy. Now, they did that for the most part, but they didn't run as much as they probably should have. They were very predictable, and they didn't switch it up. It was the same thing over and over and over. Now, that did work a lot of the time with using Debo Samuel in multiple different ways. But one thing they should have done is they should have used Kittle a lot more, and they should have rotated the backs a lot more. I would have rotated Mostert, Burita, and Coleman, or not Coleman. Yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah, I think whatever. You get what I'm saying. Their three main backs, I would have constantly rotated. I would have gotten Kittle more involved, and I would have balanced it out a little bit. They got very predictable with their play calling. It was very conservative. It was very. They didn't. It didn't seem like they were playing to win. It seemed like they were playing not to lose. In big games like this, you have to take some shots. Now the Chiefs got caught up in this as well. They didn't take as many shots. Normally in a Chiefs game, you'll see Mahomes throwing bombs, hoping for the best, and a lot of times it works because of the scheme. A lot of what they do setting up their speed guys to get open, catch the ball. Um, so, Bieniemy does that very well as far as scheming to use the speed for their advantage. Now, the 49ers defense did fantastic. First, really all game long. Fourth quarter was the only time that they didn't really produce at as high of a level, partially because they were on the field so much. So, I mean, who knows? You can attribute that to many different things. But with the Chiefs, it's a little bit different because their run game is not it's nothing special, right? It's nothing that will amaze you. It's nothing that you'll look at before the game and say that's going to be a key factor. But for the Chiefs, it was. It set them up many different ways. It kept them balanced, kept them going. Mahomes was able, you get them 2 to 3 yards, that helps. That's what Mahomes needed. Now, for the 49ers, when they were running down their throats. Chiefs couldn't stop them. And then they didn't want to run. It was very weird coaching from the 49ers. Now, defensively, the Niners secondary was weak. They played a lot of zone. They tried to keep everything in front of them. And what they were doing by keeping everybody in front of them was allowing guys to play 5 to 10 yards back, and receivers later on in the game started just doing comeback routes. They go deep like they normally do, just turn around quick, right there's the ball. You can't stop that when you're playing 10 yards deep in zone. You got to get a body on a body. Now, I know when you're playing speed like that, it's tough, but you have to. So, big game moments, you can't give them anything. Now, Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl MVP, probably one of 3 or more Super Bowls. Okay? I won't be surprised if this guy is in the conversation of greatest of all time at the end of his career. So, I'm not saying that he's not good. He is. But he was not that great the whole game. He wasn't. People are acting like Mahomes did so, the end of the game. Now, the score, number one, and the fourth quarter performance by the Chiefs is what a lot of people will look at, as they should. That doesn't sum up the entire game. That was the Niners' game to lose, and they did. Instead of game management, number one, was an issue for the 49ers. Number two, I'd say getting too conservative defensively as far as with their secondary. And then number three, just offensive play calling. Like I said, same thing on the defense with the secondary. They got conservative. You got to... I'm not saying you can't play conservative. You can. But there needs to be a balance. That Chiefs defense was not some kind of elite, one-of-a-kind defense. They played solid, and they played their hearts out in the big game. They wanted it more. The Niners defense, for the most part, did too. But they started getting winded. You could see Nick Bosa huffing and puffing on the sideline. And that's not because of they're out of shape. That's because, for the love of God, they're on the field 24/7. I mean, the Niners' first drive took somewhere like 8 minutes off the clock. Good. That's how you beat the Chiefs. Keep Mahomes off the field. Same thing we talk about with Brady. Same thing we talk about with Lamar. You can talk about that with many other quarterbacks. You got to keep them off the field. But instead of having long, drawn-out drives, the Niners started going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Now, I already talked about who they should have used more, what they could have done, but the thing that amazed me the most about this game was how Kyle Shanahan, who is a respected coach, a highly looked at coach, I think he's got a bright future. That's another thing. I disagree with Colin Cowherd a lot. I do. But he is right on this. I was listening to this today. You shouldn't judge a coach based off of one game. You got to look at a body of work. Kyle Shanahan's a great coach. Okay, I know there's some people saying Niners should consider getting rid of him. I think that's ridiculous. And yes, I have heard people say that. So I know maybe you haven't heard it, but I have heard people say that. He's not a bad coach. The moment was too big. It was too big in Atlanta when they played the Patriots, and it was too big here. Same thing with Sean McVay last year. Moment was too big. Outcoached. That's just what this is. The elite quarterbacks find a way. Okay? Jimmy Garoppolo was put in a situation where he didn't have to be elite. He had to do his job as a quarterback. And I blame Kyle Shanahan for at least 95% of losing this game because of he became so reliant on play action. We're going to either run it we're going to do some kind of trickery, or we're just going to do a rollout bootleg. Somebody will be open. You can't do play action's great. Play action's great. I love that style of offense that they run. But the problem with that is you become so dependent on somebody being open on that play action. If nobody's open, then what do? Jimmy Garoppolo can't run. Not elite. Not decent. He's not a bad athlete, but he's not. I mean, you get what I'm saying. You don't want Jimmy Garoppolo being forced to run on a critical situation. And the play calling, they weren't running when they were supposed to, and they weren't passing when they were supposed to. They needed to implement more passing specific plays and more run scheme plays of more than just the simple stuff. They switched up the run plays more in the pass plays, but they could have done a little bit more. You go back to all the games that the 49ers dominated, Jimmy G was not forced to play a specific style of quarterback that entire game. It was a little bit switched up. That's one of the things on why I picked the Niners, because their offense didn't have to be fantastic, but they had to stay consistent. Okay? Like they have been in their last couple of playoff games. You look at what they've done. It's been a lot of what you've seen in the Super Bowl, but you also create some of the different styles and schemes when you just let Jimmy G drop back and throw. Now, I know a lot of people don't like him. I still do, but he's not an elite quarterback yet. He's good. He's not elite yet. He's got to prove it. You're not elite until you can win big-time games. You're good, but you're not elite. Patrick Mahomes is elite because he's now been in multiple big-time games, and he's now won MVPs. He got the job done Sunday. So, good for Andy Reid. I think Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, they're going to be, I don't know how long Andy Reid will be there, but I think there's a bright future as far as these two. I think Patrick Mahomes especially. Now, his contract that he's going to get is going to eat up a lot of that cap space. But if they can do what the Patriots have done over the last couple years, build around him and find cheap guys that you can rotate that'll give you that extra production, that's perfect. That's what they need. So, good for the Chiefs. Like I said, didn't predict it. Didn't think it was going to happen. But everything that I pretty much said the Niners needed to do, they did, other than a couple minor things. And Kyle Shanahan really cost him the game. People are going to try to put it on Garoppolo. Shanahan knows who Garoppolo is. That's his fault for putting him in that situation and not being smarter as far as when to do what. So, football is over as far as the NFL. Vince McMahon, here we come. So, all right, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.